Always fresh and a little bit sticky. Keep it down, cannabis wiki. We're always fresh and a little bit sticky. The green room on cannabis wiki.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Green Room live from stok'd Cannabis in Niagara Falls, Ontario. Hey Derek.
Hey.
I'm pretty excited for our next fireside
So
chat.
am I. I want to hear the juicy story.
There's lots of juicy stories with John Fowler. Hello, welcome.
Hey,
Muskoka
everybody.
Grown.
Hey, Jackie or Derek. Thank you for having me. Love to be here in the new Stoke location.
It's
Yeah.
beautiful, isn't it nice?
It's dope.
Really,
Good.
really nice. It's dope.
I like our little rolling thing, you know?
So, John Fowler, can you tell us who you are? Tell us a short. Who's John Fowler?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been running cannabis brands since the beginning of legalization. And I've been selling weed since not before legalized. No, I got into cannabis when I was really young. It was something that just vibed with me as a consumer. And what really opened my eyes is when I met sort of that early Canadian medical cannabis crew. I was like 16, 17 years old. All my friends were in their 50s and chronically ill patients, but they had the best weed. So they're the best people to hang out with. And, they progressed into, I had aspirations to be, Canada's biggest weed grower and pot dealer, and I wasn't great at either. So I ended up, through some bad life choices, I actually got locked up for 3 years at the University of Ottawa doing law school. I briefly became a lawyer, and then I decided to make the right choice and sell drugs again. So I left the downtown Bay Street law firm in 2013, started what became 7 Acres, built that into one of the bigger brands around the country. And for the last couple of years, I've been working with small brands, just trying to get back to products, people coming out to stores like this and just slinging weed, having fun.
Sling weed and have some fun.
Wow.
So his 3 years of time was university.
That was hard time.
So how's family feel about that? Everyone proud that you're...
It's been good. I years ago, I got an opportunity to speak at Idea City, Moses' event.
Oh.
And I actually talked about it, the mom index, how I was doing in her mind compared to my cannabis career. But with legalization, I think, everyone
everything.
came around. But I'll still remember the funniest thing in probably like 2016, 2017. I got a call from the Canadian reporter for the New York Times. And it was pre-legalization, like in that period between when Trudeau was elected and legalization. Mm-hmm. And he said, hey, we're going to do a little article on New York Times Canada, like online. Can we come up do it? I'm like, sure, no problem. No worries. It ended up, I didn't know, it went in the print edition on Sunday globally. So my fat face was in the New York Times, like across the world. My family in India saw it.
Oh my goodness.
And some questions were asked. But
questions were
luckily,
asked.
They were just worried I got in trouble. They didn't read the article. They saw me in a field of pot plants. But everyone's come around. I think everyone's pretty supportive these days.
Everybody's
What medical dispensary were you around or like working with? Or because you said that's what you came up, like the medical, your friends were in the medical. So like that's pre-legalization. What was the name of these places?
So like when I first got introduced to medical cannabis patients, that was when they still called themselves compassion clubs.
Right.
So there was like 3 of them in Toronto, and the primarily ones was Calm, Cannabis is Living Medicine with Neve and the crew there. Mm-hmm. Back when Amy and Rob and all sorts of people were still around, were involved back there early, and the Toronto Compassion Club. But I was, young and I didn't have a script, so I never got to go in. They were like these secret magical places that you knew existed. Mm-hmm. And then like I spent probably 2 years on the roof of the Kindred Cafe in downtown Toronto, which was like one of the most magical places that I think ever existed. And I hope one day we can bring those kind of places back.
You think we will?
Eventually. Like I always say, like, fuck, if we, I don't know if I can swear.
You can swear,
If we legalized weed in the 80s, it'd be so damn good because we all would have smoked inside. No one would have thought about it. We'd all be smoking right now. But unfortunately, we did it post-smoke-free Ontario, so we can't have fun.
Right.
But I hope it comes back. Like, I think one of the real casualties of legalization in Toronto specifically, we had that indoor consumption comedy scene. With Vapor Central and the Underground Cafe and all those great places.
I've been to a bunch of those. They're really fun.
Like, I saw big name LA comedians come to this little tiny place on Queen West at Joey's shop for the Underground. Like Joe Rogan played there, like all these big Death Squad guys would come. And then they'd be like, I heard about this in LA. And it was the craziest thing to me to be like, you've heard about this little hole in the wall that we thought was normal in Toronto because we got to do it. I hope that comes back because that's really about creating, cannabis sites that are, they're not like Cheech and Chong novelty events. They're like, real places where you just go if you want to consume.
And the
have a good
community,
time.
strengthens, and a place that you can gather and consume
Right
together.
now, I think the only place that has those, and every time I go, I come back on a tear that I want to create one here for like 6 months. You can't talk to me about anything else when I go back. Is Barcelona probably has the best cannabis consumption environment right now. So there's a few throughout Spain, but they're really good in Barcelona, and it's like a hybrid, think dispensary, high-end coffee shop, cannabis lounge, and it is the greatest
Sounds familiar.
cannabis place ever.
Does it sound familiar to you, Jackie?
Yeah, that's why I looked at it. I'm like, it's a high-end, what did you say? It's like a coffee shop.
Coffee shop, yeah.
And
Okay.
yeah, there's one in Amsterdam.
Yeah, I think
And-
I gotta get in trouble with this, but I think Barcelona does better.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, they're way more chill.
You can get in trouble for all kinds of things coming on the green room.
But man, if we want to have that in Canada,
Where would we have it?
we should have them everywhere. But getting them over will be a challenge, and that was like for me.
Yeah, because of the smoke itself, right?
The smoke inside, getting the local regulations and all
Right.
that done. I think it's great if we have edible consumption places, but to me that's different. Like
Yeah, you can
The cannabis
eat
industry is
edibles
smoking
anywhere.
industry.
Why do I need a specific place to eat edibles?
The drinks we just had, why can you not have those drinks? Why couldn't it just
But you
be-
can. What's the problem? I don't understand. Like
But-
if I buy the edible from stok'd and I have it in my pocket and I go wherever I am, I
Yeah,
can
that's
eat
true.
it.
Yeah.
But look, this industry is 60-70% smoking,
Right.
right? And for a long time we didn't want to say that, but it's true, and it maybe will change in my lifetime, but I'm not holding my breath. That,
Why didn't you want to say that?
Oh man, when we were first generation cannabis company, like people go around and be like, oh, maybe we shouldn't talk about smoking.
Yeah,
Maybe we
well,
should
I
pretend
mean,
everyone's
that's a
gonna vape
lot
and
of
have
things. So
drinks.
maybe we shouldn't talk about this. Maybe we
Yeah.
shouldn't talk about that. I mean, these guys didn't know what they were doing.
They wrecked it.
I was one of these guys, so I can. But no, like I think, look, when we're 50-60%, smoked and inhaled product, if we're gonna create social sites, we need sites where you can smoke and consume, and it can't
Maybe
always
vape.
just be the.
Because I
but
don't know why
vaping is the masturbation of the cannabis world. It is good until you try the real thing.
Right.
Like if you smoke weed, if
Yeah.
you've had really good flower,
Yeah.
to me,
It's the
vape is
mass-
No, I agree.
in the
It's
cannabis
just I'm just
world.
wondering how you get around the smoke part, right? Because
It's
that's
a
like
challenge.
what they banned is the smoke, not
You need an amendment. Look, they had to
Amendment,
ban tobacco because if you worked in the service industry, every single restaurant smoked. So you could not work in the service industry
Yeah, they
and
smoked on
avoid
airplanes.
secondhand smoke.
Yeah. They smoke
The
it.
reality is, if you allowed cannabis consumption sites, it's not going to be every single restaurant in Ontario that allows you to smoke weed inside.
right.
Right.
So if you choose to work in that environment,
Yeah.
it's not like you're prohibited from working.
I remember they used to have places like that where people would you had like a smoking area.
Yeah, remember in the 80s there were smoking areas. Like Zeller's Diner had one.
I remember being a kid, my favorite, there was a restaurant we'd go to, and my family didn't smoke, so there was this table in the middle,
Yeah.
and like one half was smoking, one half wasn't smoking.
That's crazy. Yeah, and I remember being like a kid and watching this woman, and she would light one cigarette from the other.
And just keep smoking,
Yeah.
chain smoking.
Yeah,
That-
chain smoking.
I remember seeing them as their
That's
lipstick all on
crazy.
the end.
Yeah.
And then it just kept going.
Okay, so you got the you started hanging out with these older people who had the
Compassion.
chronic,
Yeah.
and then what made you so then what happened? How did we get to 7 acres?
So as I said, I went to law school. The real reason was I realized and I met our whole medical program came from a small number of patients and a smaller number of lawyers that helped them out, right? Like Paul Lewin and Alan Young in Ontario, John Conroy and Kirk out in BC. There's really only about a half dozen. And what was neat is I met them and I met some of these patients. You're like, wow, these are like real people.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I to be honest, I've never been a great grower. And I didn't really have the chops for the illicit game. So I said, hey, if I want to be involved in the industry and help people out, I originally thought I wanted to be a criminal lawyer, like a constitutional lawyer.
Right.
And that's why I ended up in law school. And actually when I was there is right when the Harper government started commercial cannabis, right? The early stage of commercial medical.
Mhm.
Right?
And originally I wanted to be, a lawyer. My thought was, hey, these businesses are going to be lawyers. there wasn't really cannabis business lawyers at the time.
Right.
And my first client was the group that ended up being 7 Acres, and I ended up jumping on and I was the CEO of that business for half a decade.
Wow.
But that was just kind of going with the flow. Like you never really imagined.
Congratulations. That's good.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I remember now. We met you at Grow Up. Because you guys had the 7 Acres outside.
They always had
Amy
fun.
Anonymous was there.
Smoking lounge.
Yeah, it was a smoking lounge. And Frenchie Cannoli was there.
Sessions.
That was the happening
called?
place.
So every event we did at 7 Acres, if we could, was a consumption center. So we would go to venues and be like, can we rent the space outside? Can we rent space in your parking lot? And basically, can we bring somewhere to sit, somewhere to roll, and some pizza when you're stoned? That was like pretty much our marketing strategy. And, we built a $400 million brand.
We went to Wiz Khalifa and rolled joints and smoked hash and had her like through 7 Acres. I remember that. They were so fun. So fun. We got on the bus and there was munchies on the seat. Like it was obviously someone who consumes a stoner, a real stoner.
Yeah. Now I see why that was.
Did this whole thing.
But
speaking with you now and your background, now I see it in the brand, and like in the people who are working with it. Yeah.
Look, if you look at the sales data, like this doesn't have to be my memory or whatever. If you look at the sales data today, the majority of sales are dried flower and pre-rolls, right? That is where the bulk of consumption is.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, it was actually a very smart man behind the counter there who reminded me.
French.
Yeah. new consumers are only new consumers for a little amount of time.
For a minute.
And literally, right? New consumers, only new consumers. He's not in there. He's not in there. He's like, you're stealing my line and telling everybody. But as people come, like my belief is the most enjoyable way to consume flower is cannabis and good concentrates. And I believe over time, consumers will drift in that direction. Just like over time, beverage alcohol consumers will drift generally from better, stronger, faster, cheaper things when we're young to more flavorful cocktails, wines, whiskeys, whatever your thing is.
So hold on, say that again. So you feel that people are going to drift to actually smoking cannabis, even if they come in as a beverage or a topical or anything, it's good. They're going to inevitably end up to the smoking flower.
If they embrace cannabis. So I'm not talking about someone who's coming in, a topical for a specific need, but if you're getting into somewhere where getting stoned, getting high is part of your lifestyle that you create, right? Whether it's an everyday thing or a once in a while thing.
Yeah.
I just fundamentally believe the best way to interact with the plant, the most flavorful way, the best effect is smoking.
Yeah.
It's full flower, and then full flower concentrates work as well.
Yeah, but you're a connoisseur and you like that. I would like to see what's gonna happen, like if they have the beverages in bars, and then like will those people go to eat smoking to you? Like you think?
I think given the opportunity, like it'll be interesting when we get a generation that doesn't have as much stigma around it. Like I love how many people have come to cannabis and will use edibles or drinks because it's an approachable form factor.
Sure.
Because smoking cannabis is weird to them. Right. And whether that's because they link it to cigarette stigma, whether they don't want to be, smelling like it, whatever that is. But like in my heart of hearts, whenever I meet someone that just uses edibles or drinks, all I want to do is give them a tiny little dab.
Right.
Just be like, just try it one time.
Yeah.
It tastes so damn good. It'll feel better.
Yeah.
It's
it
a
is
faster
better.
on and off.
Right.
It's better.
It's more controllable.
And it's sitting around
John's a
consuming around a fire like this.
You're very passionate about cannabis. I like that.
Yeah, it wasn't a surprise. Like, okay, when I was in law school, like not everyone knew I was going in the cannabis business.
Right.
I smoked a hell of a lot of weed while I was there.
Yeah.
So when I updated my LinkedIn, it was like I quit law to do that. 0 surprises.
Right.
There was not one surprise.
I smoked a hell of a lot of weed.
Okay, so you are at 7 Acres. It was great. You took it to, what did you say, 400 million?
Yeah, we were in the wave. We were worth almost $1 billion of stock. What I'm most proud of is, we built a brand that was doing almost $100 million a year in sales, and that was like freaking epic. And the fact that consumers around the country were vibing with what we were doing, one of the most unreal feelings of my whole life.
Yeah, it was good. So, but how do we get to Muskoka Grown?
So in 2019, I ended up leaving 7 Acres and Supreme.
Okay.
Really had a
7 Acres and Supreme.
Yeah,
you're
Supreme
right.
was the public company.
Yeah, okay.
So we had a few brands, like we did the KKE brand with Wiz Khalifa.
Yeah.
Highway. There was a few other things going on. I really wasn't sure if I was going to get
So
back
why
into
did you
cannabis.
leave that? Because it seemed like you were going good. So why?
It wasn't my choice. It was a choice made for me.
Because he was too loved. Everyone
Look,
loved
at the
him.
end of the day, when I started a cannabis brand, I had no intention of creating a massive public company.
Right.
And they pull madly off in all directions. All I wanted to do the last year I spent there is I just wanted to build a 7 acres brand. And, you know, it is what it is why I left. I'm happy for it. It worked out. Because what I realized I like to do is I like brand building, I like storytelling, I like working with the plant, and I like working with consumers.
You did
Right.
those coins.
Yeah, the rosin coin. So that's where we started. So we started a big concentrates. So basically, again, we looked at the market. I love looking at the data and trying to find white space where I say, if there's a product category that does really well in the illicit market, but doesn't do well in the legal market, I always ask myself why. And 9 times out of 10, when I've seen that, it's because either one or both of the legal product is too expensive or the legal product is not good enough. So for example, I'm a big fan of cannabis concentrates, have been for a long time since, you know, some of the modern concentrates were new in Canada. We're looking at the sales are bad. You go in the stores, the hash is brown, like the dabs are brown.
Yeah.
Brown dabs are no bueno.
Yeah.
People are pitching flower rosin like anybody really wants it. And
Right.
really nobody really wants flower rosin.
Yeah.
It's fun to do, you know, press it in the store, have a good time one time,
Right.
but nobody's sitting there banging grams
can
of
move
flower
this if it's
rosin all
funny.
day.
Yeah.
So we sat there and said, hey, I think if we create a really good live rosin, customers will feel what we're doing.
Yeah.
And we launched basically 18 months ago with that. We started with live rosin and we built that into, you know, a pretty good sized concentrates company. It's a family business. It's my aunt and uncle, my best friend and his 2 kids making drugs together. It's like the
We're all making
greatest
drugs
family
together.
story. And we're part of a community, you know.
It's a
Bubba
Canadian
was here.
dream.
Yeah, it is a dream. It is a dream. But you know, like Bubba was here earlier from Thrive Greybeard, Cody Colson up in Port Elgin is making some amazing stuff. Like it's not a big market in concentrates, but it feels really good to be a part of. And it was just great to like, you know, like you spin it with a paddle, you make it.
Yeah.
And it's not like growing cannabis that takes months. You start in the morning with bud, and a couple days later you've got dabs. And it's such a great creation process. And that one was really sparked, like, I want to be in this industry, building brands, making products.
Yeah.
So we did that project first. And then the second we got involved was Muskoka.
Okay, so Muskoka, I know we interviewed another gentleman. He had it, and then I heard it like went away. Like, so did you bring it back, or like they bring you on? What happened there?
So
Give us
Muskoka
some
Grown.
juice here on this.
Pardon?
Give us some juice on this. Come on.
No, I'm just wondering because like if our viewers
Right,
have seen Muskoka Grown, it was another gentleman
right.
who was the CEO of it, I think, right?
Yeah. So Muskoka Grown was an early LP.
Right.
You know, I think it came to market with a plan that made sense to a lot of people at the time, right? It was kind of a champagne and caviar brand
Right.
for, you know, the higher end folks in the Muskoka area
Yeah.
and places like that across Canada was really
Right.
the vibe it was
The
trying to
bougie,
create.
like Jackie
Yeah, it was
likes.
bougie brand.
Yeah.
But like the
The
reality
wine,
is
sipping
we don't
tea,
have
you know,
that in cannabis yet.
crumpets.
Yeah, it hasn't worked yet. It'll work
It
one day.
hasn't worked yet.
One day there will be a bougie brand.
Yeah.
There are bougie brands in other categories.
Of course, why can't
The
there
bougie
be?
cannabis brand has not worked yet.
Why? Because they don't have the right marketing.
No, I think it's right now consumers who spend a lot of money on cannabis are not necessarily the bougiest of people, right? Like it's not
But they want exclusive drops.
correct.
like if
but
you
those
look-
are heady brands, like
Right.
the way they're marketing. I'm talking about like, you know, the idea that I'm going to go buy a bottle of Dom Perignon, a Balenciaga tracksuit, and 1 gram for like $50 of some crazy weed. That doesn't necessarily all come.
Yeah, I
together
get what you're
yet
saying. Yeah.
in those brands, right?
Right.
There's people that are doing them, bless their
Yeah.
hearts. But you know, that was sort of the original concept. You
Can I
know,
interrupt? Remember, I used to have these things called high teas at my house.
Yeah.
And I had these ladies from
You had to be
all-
invited.
You had to be invited. You had to be.
Yeah,
It was,
if you're not invited,
not
you
a
can't
girl.
come. You know
It
what
was
I mean?
women in the industry. I didn't know them, and they
It's the
weren't
in
friends.
club.
It became quite an exclusive. That's
Right.
why it stopped, because it
Right.
got drama. I didn't even know these people, but a bunch of ladies came to my house and they
Mhm.
were smoking the first time I had ever heard of it, Jean Guy, and you had to say it a certain way, and then this little thing that you dab it and you like
What is it? Weed or this is something else?
Concentrate. It was a, was it a concentrate? It was
no, that was a flower we were doing. Other people did a concentrate.
I think they squished it. They
yeah,
squished
they were probably doing flower rosin.
And then they were dabbing. Anyway, 7 Acres this was when I was brand new to cannabis, and there was all these fancy ladies doing their fancy things, and they're talking about they're trying to pink wash.
That's so funny. I would like to see that.
It was something else.
Fancy ladies doing dabs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fancy ladies.
Right.
Like they were, and they're
who are these people?
And they were. Well, it was supposed to be. I'm not going to say.
Oh, okay.
But they were.
You didn't video this.
I have tons of video of it.
So what was this? A private event?
Yeah, at my house.
But you didn't post it on social media?
Not
okay.
Doing dabs and stuff.
So this is like
the good shit happened.
It was the Illuminati.
I posted them out in like the garden and stuff, but when we were actually consuming and stuff,
the dabs, that's undercover for them.
Yes, and like they put ice in the bong for the first time, and like, I was like, and these were fancy ladies, like so. A Bushi brand would be welcomed, I think. And you seem to think that we're at a race to the bottom right now, and that the weed is going to get good and better and bigger and stronger soon. Like, isn't that what you think? Like, the connoisseurs are going to survive. The connoisseurs.
I mean, I always want good hash.
He's very picky.
And I'm willing to pay for it. And so it's just like liquor. You have that cabinet, that has
the good stuff.
That you sign the card and you pour it aside. It's not, you're not getting drunk off of it. So I think that can expand. Like, I would like to see like imports.
It'll come. Take time. But that's I mean, the old world hash game will be wild.
That's what I want. That's what I want.
Wild if we could get that. But, going back to Muskoka, like they just, they struggled to find their way. They ended up going bankrupt in 2019. I got involved with the guy that's the current owner, who wanted to bring the brand back.
Right.
But also what I thought was amazing, in the middle of COVID, the owner wanted to make sure the jobs were preserved. He didn't want to bail on, we're a decent sized employer in a small town. Didn't want to bail on that. That was a message that really resonated well with me, because that's when so many layoffs were happening around the country. And, it was an opportunity to get back on the growing side, which was not something I was looking to do at the time. But I met the people, and there was just some really, really amazing people that worked there. I brought my general manager from 7 Acres over. He moved over to Bracebridge, and we've been there for the last 18 months trying to transform it from what it was into, kind of a accessible craft brand. And our whole thing, again, looking at where we felt there was white space.
So is this like going to be what your vision of what 7 Acres, where you would have taken it if it didn't get out of your control?
No, 7 Acres is different. I mean, 7 Acres was meant to be a national mass market brand. Right? It was big. It was 1,000 employees. It should be able to produce 70, 1,000 kilos a year. That is a mass market brand. It can produce craft quality, maybe, but it's not. It's big, and when you're big, you got to do big guy things. Right. This is a small brand. We'll grow 3 million grams a year tops. We're working with some amazing genetic providers to get some really good stuff. So we're dropping a GMO and a do-si-do shortly. We're able to do all the hand trim, the hand cure, all the stuff you need to really give that connoisseur attention, and give that hand touch to the product that you can't do on a mass. So you say connoisseur, so is it at a premium price? So that's where we want to do something different. So with the new brand we're launching with Muskoka Grown, the existing brand, we're pretty much moving everything just into half ounces and ounces. Basically running a range from kind of $80 to $100 for a half ounce with Muskoka Grown. Everything's high THC, everything's potent, everything's for smokers. It's that daily driver. It's something that also, I think, from a format perspective, like half ounce is a nice amount of weed to have. 3.5 is weird. Last time I bought 3.5 before legalization was high school. Like I thought it was the strangest thing. When legalization was happening, we're all planning it out, going to meetings, and everyone's talking about 3.5s, and everyone wants to buy 3.5s, and I'm looking at people who have never bought a 3.5, either because they actually smoke weed and buy ounces, or because they've never smoked weed and they think 3.5 is the right amount of weed. Right. A lot of people, if you roll up a half gram at a time, you sit down and roll a couple joints, your tin looks empty. But it's also like Pancha's son. When he rolls 2 joints out of a 3.5. So it's like, he's like, this is not enough. Yeah, that's all I get. No, but that's why it's people who really smoke, it's like, Did
you call them the daily drivers?
Yeah, I said the brand's a daily driver. Like, it's not It's not a luxury brand. It's not even really a premium brand. It's just meant to be good weed, no frills, get you where you're
I
going.
get it. Okay, I get it.
But still be a flavorful smoke, still be an interesting high. You know, something that I'm not into necessarily all the effects of like what's up, what's down, what's calm, whatever. I just want to know if I smoke it, do I feel good after? Like I'm a simple guy in that way. Did it taste good? Did I enjoy the experience of smoking it? Did I feel good after?
Right.
And with our new brand, with Dankcraft, it's kind of like one step up. on that.
Dankcraft?
Yeah, it's Dankcraft. We're launching that in September, October.
Oh, cool.
And basically we're doing half ounces only. We're not doing 3.5s. We're not doing any other formats. And this is, again, taking a page out of, some of the most successful legacy market brands that have been around where, these folks, they're 100 to 130, maybe 140 on the top end for a half ounce. Fire weed, potent, smells great. And, these brands have been around for decades in Canada.
Right.
And all we're doing is we're looking at data, we're saying that's missing.
Right.
Because that quality is there.
Right.
In
I see where you're doing
3.5s
this.
that are kind of expensive.
Mm-hmm.
And those price points are there in sort of greenhouse stuff that's not as nice.
Right.
So we're hoping to jump out and just find that nice middle ground. And it takes a lot of discipline as a company to make the price points work.
Right.
We have to produce top-notch yields. We've taken our grow from under half a gram a watt to almost a gram and a half per watt for everything we're growing.
Wow.
We have to deliver high THC. We cannot make mistakes. We take a very systematic approach to manufacturing cannabis. And, we can't afford to drop stuff on the floor or lose half a crop here or there because it's a narrow path we're walking with the brand. But the result is, I think, something that you can both be proud of and excited to consume.
Right.
And not need a second mortgage to smoke every day.
Not need
And that's like, I used to say that when mortgages were like 2%. That's not even like a 5% second mortgage. Weed's got to be affordable. Like at the end of the day, the beautiful part about cannabis for most of my life has been even the best stuff's not really that expensive. And I think we got a little distracted with that in the legal market. I love that there is some amazing cannabis. Like there is just, in this store, in every store, you can walk in and you can buy quads blind.
Who's impressing you? Is there something that impresses you?
Look, there's so many brands. Like I would not name one and someone will get mad at me. But like I could say as a consumer,
Yeah.
if I leave price aside, there is a lot of amazing stuff. I still get catfished every now and again. I got a mistake bag yesterday that pissed me off, but for the most part, you're getting big flower, you're getting big potency, you're getting exciting strains. But the 3.5 gram format is just a super awkward format.
Yeah.
Why
So
is-
no.
Is that what you would buy?
What?
The bigger the half?
No, I'm buying hash.
You're oh no,
Yeah,
right.
I'm
No,
buying
I'm buying
hash.
hash.
So
Are you
we'll do
gonna
that.
what about the hash game? You gonna do some more?
Yeah, we don't
The
do any of
rosin?
the pressed half stuff. Like we can't make the numbers work. But we do rosin, we do live resin, we do infused blunts, we do diamonds and shatter.
Infused blunts. What do you think of those?
Yeah, and is it a real blunt?
No, so
It's not,
it
is it?
can't be tobacco.
Well, because
So-
then it's not a blunt.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
What do you want to call them then?
What do you want to call them?
Well, whatever, but you can't. That's, it's just like the RSO, right? It's not RSO.
Right. It has to be a certain
I
percentage.
don't like that. I don't like because it's like it's not a real blunt.
So what I will say, this is another
the
example.
hemp blunt
This is
maybe or
one of our partners at the
Canada.
Loud Plug did this. Like when he told me
I like the loud
he was,
plug.
yeah,
Shout out.
Yeah, when Cy was getting into blunt, I'll be the first guy to say this, I thought he was insane. I was like, Cy, these fake blunts are gross. Like the hemp blunts, I just do not enjoy them. I don't smoke them anymore. I used to smoke a lot of woods and swishers and whatever.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's not the same.
right.
And he's like, this one, it's a T-Wrap. He's like, this one is as close as we can get and it's actually good. And when we tried the product, we're like, that is actually good. So yes, it's not a blunt, but it is materially different smoking experience than a paper pre-roll.
Mm-hmm.
It's got a nicer flavor to it. And then with the infused, what's really nice for brands that are doing that, and Muskoka is going to come out with some stuff next year, is that's a real benefit for consumers. So in my view, a pre-roll consumer wants to get some type of stone, some type of flavor, and a whole lot of convenience.
Yeah.
And what you can give is a lot more stone and a lot more flavor with the same amount of convenience. And you don't need a dab rig. You don't need any of these other things.
So the
It's
infused.
a smoking format.
Yeah.
Beautiful category, and that's why it's grown. Like
Yeah.
it's a fast-growing category this year.
Well, people want to get higher, and you can only get so high with just flour. So you got to add something else to it.
Exactly.
What's Muskoka Grown's #1 offering right now? Like, what's your?
So right now we are doing very well in our half-ounce SKUs. So in Ontario, we were on a Rockstar Kush,
Rockstar
our
Kush.
Chem OG, which is a Chem 91 OG Kush cross. And we do both of those 25-ish% THC, creeping up as the grow gets better, under $100. So, those are nice. We just launched an ounce product that's our craft berry smasher product. So it's Gorilla Glue 4, blueberry, OG Kush, mid 20% THC, beautiful giant nugs on it. That's at about 130 a half ounce. That ripped out of the OCS. And we are actually spent all day panicking of how the heck do we hit the reorder, because that's been going really well. But, for us, our future is the strains we're launching under Dancraft. We partner with Mother Labs, so we're starting with their Do-si-do and their GMO. Those are coming out this fall. We have another partner that we're working with for some stuff in the spring. But that really is the future of Muskoka Grown, which is really, really good craft flower done in a 14-gram offer. And that's,
Nice.
For us, that's walking in the footsteps of some of the giant Canadian legacy brands that have done just that for a long time. Consumers that are used to those price points.
Right.
And there's a couple other secret sauce. If you're a retailer, you should want to sell bigger bags.
Right.
Because that's a bigger ticket for the customer coming into your store.
It's a bigger sale.
But still a good price per gram. Right? Because if we're talking about $110, $120 for a half ounce, you're in that $8 range. That's a pretty decently priced for craft flower.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing as a retailer is if you have a consumer who's consuming ounce a month, 2 ounces a month, if they're buying it 3-5 at a time, they're going to the store a dozen times in a month.
Mm-hmm.
That's a dozen times.
Give
you
me
have
the
to make sure they
profile
don't
on
cheat
that customer.
Give me the profile on that customer.
That consumes
So think-
2 ounces a month.
Think of somebody who is consuming
Yeah.
somewhere between, a gram every other day, gram a day, 2 grams a day.
Well, a gram a day.
A gram a day is an ounce.
Yeah.
2 grams a day.
Okay.
They're around. I mean, these are the people when you talk.
No,
to
I know
people
they're around. I'm just
coming in the store all the time,
Right.
right? And maybe 2's on the high side, but call it even an ounce a month, a half ounce a month.
Yeah.
If I was running a retail store,
Yeah.
I would want that person making as few purchases a month.
Yeah.
Because it's the highest probability they're coming to me.
I just wanted to know if you had the profile of the user.
So wait, so
Like,
you're saying
what is it?
So we look at our consumer
Like
profile.
age.
So
like
I don't do we don't have the money to do it, to be honest. Like the demographic, sociographic stuff.
Oh.
I look at consumer journey. I
Okay.
look at somebody that has made cannabis smoking
Yeah.
a regular part of their life. So it's not a novelty. It's not we're going to get high.
Yeah.
And it's just something like I come home after work.
Yeah.
I roll up a joint.
How about you wake
I-
up, I smoke a joint.
Even better.
Go
God bless.
jump in the shower, come out, smoke another joint.
God bless.
Go to work,
Okay,
come
then
home,
also
smoke a
look at
joint.
my calendar. It's almost Zoom meeting. Okay, smoke a joint. Can I smoke a joint?
Yeah,
I'm just-
like those are the people where cannabis is just part of your
Right.
regular lifestyle.
Okay.
Right.
And if you are consuming cannabis every day or every other day,
But how do we target
There's a
those
lot.
people?
you give them good weed at a fair price. It's not complicated.
Okay.
Good weed at a
That-
fair price.
What does that sound like, Jackie?
Oh. It sounds. I'm not even gonna say it.
Right.
We're at Stoked Cannabis.
That's right.
We're only being stoked about cannabis today. And John's like, "What did I miss?"
I stepped on something, that's for sure.
No, they're just. We always ask people what your brand message or what your hashtag or what your whatever, and some people they have. Have you heard?
It's all in the same frame.
Have you heard the
There's
one
different
best
words
weed,
saying
best
the
price?
same thing.
Best weed, best price.
Oh.
Best weed, best price.
Look, at the end of the day, I don't know if we're going to be the best weed. I don't know if we're going to be the best price.
Mm.
And the other thing too is we're not trying to get 100% of somebody's consumption. Part of cannabis is being a little promiscuous and trying out new stuff.
Mm.
For us, it's all about if we can have exciting strains, we can have great flavor, and we can do it in a way you can afford to smoke every day, then I think we're doing something right.
So, got to get a little promiscuous, and vapes are just. What'd you say vapes were? Yeah, that's our soundbite there,
Something I
John.
go and I tell people vapes
Masturbation.
in the cannabis world.
Yeah, but they're blowing
good
up,
enough until
right?
you have the real thing.
Right.
I like that.
But why is it so hot?
But
Vapes.
Because you can hide them. I think that's the only reason. I just
That's
think
what
the
I think too.
convenience-
Because
I
people
just think
can go in the
convenience-
washroom, take a couple puffs, go out at work.
You go to a
beside their-
concert.
take a couple puffs. It doesn't hang around
Every-
like flour.
Every bell
hangs.
truck or
You know what I mean?
delivery truck or vaping.
It hangs in the air more than the vape. The vape kind of dissipates. You could be,
Yeah, and people who work, people who have 9 to 5s in construction or whatever, they're
Right.
vaping. They're vaping. For
Yeah.
sure they are.
and look at teeth. There's some great vape products, and there are some customers that really do enjoy them. I just secretly hope they all at least smoke flower sometimes.
right. But will
Awesome.
you ever create a vape
Probably
product?
Probably not.
Probably not.
No.
You're not in that.
You know, when I really liked you. is when,
That clearly was before. That sounds like a past tense statement.
no, it's when I started. Or no, like I always was a fan, but there was a problem with somebody got one of the coins and it was the wrong size or something. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah. So my partner, Big Scott, is like the greatest customer service person because he feels it personally if anyone is less than 110% happy. So like he cannot sleep at night with a mediocre Reddit review hanging out there unless he has just bombarded that person with how can I make it better. And I think, look, if you want to look at other things we need to do collectively better as an industry, customer service has to be one. You know, whether it's the flower wasn't bang on what you wanted, the vape cart leaks, whatever it is, we all need to get better at standing behind our products.
Yep.
Whether that's helping retailers how they do it or dealing with customers directly. Because at the end of the day, you know, you're kind of cheating. If you sell something once and the person's unhappy, you've cheated one sale. But you're never going to build a business cheating customers. You have to, at the end of the day, find a way to connect, give them something they want, and stand behind it. You don't like my product, everyone knows where to find me. I've been called so many names in this industry, but that's the price I pay to run brands because I deal with the public, so to speak. I deal with consumers from British Columbia to PEI, and I can't just be there when they like me.
And somebody felt cheated on their coin.
Yeah, so look,
So tell
guaranteed there are people who, I've had this on flour and we've had it with coins, they'll be like underweight.
Underweight, that's right.
There are so many things we put in place to make sure we are not underweight. And specifically with concentrates, they don't dry out. The likelihood that it was underweight is relatively low. But we replace it anyways.
Mhm.
If that's your game, you're smoking 0.2 so you can get a replacement every now and again, giddy up, power to you. Like, you know what I mean? If that's what you got to do, we'll help you out. But like our whole thing is it's an opportunity to have a conversation. If you care about our brand enough, even to complain at us, I'm just so happy you're thinking
It became a huge conversation. The thread was huge and everyone was involved and everyone was talking about it and like how somebody said it wasn't the right size or whatever. And he's like, well, I'll bring you a new one. Like, how do we make this right? Like, what do you want? We're going to fix it.
What's amazing, Jackie, some of our most loyal fans at Big and at Muskoka are people that we've made a mistake for. And in making it right, we've generated a relationship that is greater than if we had just done it right in the first place.
Community.
So I'm not saying make mistakes on purpose. That's
Community,
not a good
customer
strategy.
service.
But I think, you know, a lot of people, you're judged by how you fix things, not how you do things in the first place.
Yeah.
I like that. I agree with that too.
Well, yeah.
I had a thing with somebody I work with, one of the guys I work with, and when I said to him, you know, I'd really like to apologize for how I acted or how whatever, and he said, you know what, this makes our friendship better. This makes our friendship grow. This makes our. It's like, wow, that's the first. I'm 50 years old. I'm just learning that. That's how through conflict is how we become better friends.
I think, look, at the end of the day, especially for smaller brands, you got to be human, and I think for consumers. It's nice sometimes to know there's real people on the other side of the brand, right? It's not a big faceless company or a 300-person marketing department. You know, with Muskoka Grown, there's 2 sales reps and a really wonderful lady that does our marketing out of Bracebridge. You send me something nasty on Instagram or Reddit, it is something nasty to one of them. You know what I mean? And we get it sometimes. But you know, we suck it up and we make it work. The flip side is when you get the comments, hey, I opened that bag of berry smash and I loved it. Or I had a dab of big diamonds and that was, you know, I was in a store yesterday and someone was like, we have a customer that only buys big diamonds. Doesn't matter how many other diamonds we have. He will walk out and come back if we don't have them. Like, how does that not make you feel amazing?
It's
So
awesome.
I'll take
Yeah,
a
that's
lot of fat jokes and I used to get the corporate suit jokes. That is what it is. The opportunity when you connect with someone over a brand that you built and a product you've created is one of the most surreal and enjoyable experiences that I've ever had.
I love that. I love having cannabis conversations, and yours is quite a journey. Like it's oh yeah, is it ever?
We had fun. I wouldn't trade it for the world. You know, I was talking to Bubba, who's like one of my heroes in the space with Thrive and Greybeard, and you know, doing stuff with Aurora now. And we were talking, you know, lamenting about all the problems in the cannabis industry. And he just basically smiled at me and goes, well, we'd never do anything else, would we?
That's what I was thinking when I was driving here. Like it's a lot of work what we do, and there's a lot of compliance, regulations, all that sort of stuff within the cannabis space, as you're well aware. And I wouldn't want to do anything else. It's phenomenal. It's like the community. They keep you accountable, that's for sure. There's lots of lessons to be learned, but I'm lucky that we get to do this. I'm really happy that we get to do this.
Absolutely. And I love, you know, people like you putting out content and bringing people together and sharing ideas. I think is so important. You And I think when I think back, going back to the beginning of this, the early days in what really was a cannabis community, a lot of it was information sharing. You had to have friends who grew to learn how to grow. You had to get people who had weed to get weed. You couldn't walk into a store and just, find good flower.
Yeah.
So it was that level of community and trust and relationship that you built. I think in the rapid growth of our industry, we lost some of that. But what I'm seeing now is, the silver lining, a lot of hard times we're having at retail and at brands is making people come back together, is making people collaborate, is making people share again. And I've always thought that's one of the more unique aspects of the cannabis space. I think like Joe Rogan has a joke. It's the only drug, when you try and it's really good, the first thing you want to do is hand it to the person beside you. And I think that's resoundingly true. And I think that's what's amazing about cannabis, particularly flower. It's social. It's a communal consumption. It's more fun with people. And, I think we're getting back to that more and more. And I'm excited to see what the next few years bring.
Oh, I'm excited to see. When I think of Muskoka, when you think of Muskoka Grown, that's going to be some fire weed.
It's getting there.
Muskoka's pretty high class, pretty first class.
Yeah, no, some of the stuff we're producing recently has been really, really good. Teams really come together. Like our approach to growing, we work with some of the greatest experts in the country in terms of you should do this, you should do that. But the day-to-day, it's a systems approach. We take a team-based approach, a bit like Moneyball. You need people that make sure the product's in on time. You need people that make sure you hire the right people. You need all these supporting functions so that the people who touch the plant can do their job right. And it's been amazing. As I said, we've gone from legitimately probably one of the worst growers in the country a year ago. And I think a year from now, I hope they were recognized as one of the best and sitting up there with some of the elite brands on both sides of the market.
Nice.
Oh, he put it out there and manifest that. John, how can we find Muskoka Grown on social media?
You can check us out. So at Muskoka Grown, Twitter, Instagram, we're on LinkedIn. LinkedIn's always a fun platform. They only kick me off sometimes. So when you only sometimes get kicked off, you feel good. MuskokaGrown.com. And myself, John_Fowler_JD. I'm sure you guys will post those links. I'm always happy to chat. I talk with so many random people on social media. I think
you sure do.
Most amazing thing. And, for anyone listening that wants to go take a chance on our brand or Dankcraft and launch it, just huge respect. If you love it, let us know. If you hate it, you can let me know too. And I hope to hear from you.
Thanks so much. Thanks for joining us on the Green Room here at Stok'd Cannabis in Niagara Falls. Beautiful store, and we're really, really thankful to have you today.
Huge shout out to the Stok'd team. This is fucking epic store.
Isn't this cool?
This is so good.
Look at this.
It's they only just opened. I drove around the block 3 times to get parking because they had so many customers in what I thought was supposed to be my nice VIP parking spot. I had to park in an alley behind because these guys are open for a week and they're already slammed out the door.
It's beautiful store.
No, it's great. I had, if I can tell one story, I had the sketchiest time buying weed. One of the first times I came to Niagara Falls, we came out to come to the casino, and I just remember we just forgot our weed in Toronto, and we used to always bring I used to recognize Niagara Falls as 2 blunts away from Toronto. That is the distance of travel.
Yeah.
So we were here, and it was late, and we were taking the freaking the casino bus back, and we're we got to get some weed, and we went out and met somebody in one of these little restaurant parking lots. And when you're I'm definitely getting robbed. There's no way I'm getting weed.
Dead.
I'm definitely getting robbed. And totally turned out the weed was great. It was all good. But it was a high stress environment. Yeah. And it was so nice because I'm driving out today. I leave my house. I'm I don't have any weed. And it's going to be okay.
Yeah. And look at how nice it is. I want people that aren't normal consumers or don't come into dispensaries to come in and see look it's bright and beautiful. It's like being in Muskoka.
It's super cool.
It's really cool.
It's just really wild to think, we can talk about all the stuff about the industry, but the idea you can go into pretty much any town in Canada these days.
Yeah. And
nobody.
Yeah.
And walk out with fireweed.
Well, I like the fact that you can stand out front after you purchase your weed from Stok'd, then sit in the Muskoka chair and roll it.
Roll right
and
here.
Now you can stand out front and smoke your weed, and the police can drive down the road and you're not going to jail.
And you can wave. Hey!
Hey!
All right, I got to wrap this up. Thanks for joining us on the Green Room, Derek.
Yeah.
Peace. Thanks John.
Thanks, everyone.
We're always fresh and a little bit sticky. The Green Room on Cannabis Wiki.